Hello, everyone. I want to thank you for joining us here on the Troy Show. And today we have a special guest, and it's Dee Hoch. Is that how you
Hoke.
pronounce it?
You almost had it. Hoke.
Hoke. Oh my goodness, we just talked about Hoke. And
Mhm.
I'm known for messing everyone's name up, so I should have a conversation prior. We a lot of us is on chat and on
Yeah,
video, and we don't even get the last name in.
right.
So what I'm going to do from moving forward is I'll phonetically spell it, and I'll have it on my other screen.
There you
So
go.
when I before I do it, I need to do that.
I
But
like that. That's
today,
smart.
yes, yeah. So today, I know you are an expert in kind of energizing people and
Mhm.
empowering people to kind of live a more fulfilled life. And
Right.
so I would categorize you more of a life coach,
Hmm.
and more of a, I don't know if life coach is the right word. I think it's how do you ignite that fire in your
Hmm.
life to allow you not just to be motivated but to
Right.
be balanced in life. I think that's what it is, because
Right.
a lot of people will feel empowered or ignited,
Hmm.
and it lasts about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the key things that I would like to know what the secret is. And I have my own opinion on it, because I always think that your energy and your empowerment should come from, within. But
Yes.
this is a little bit about you that we pulled from you.
Hmm.
And so you were burned out and
Hmm.
decided to ignite your own passion. So it
Yep.
sounds like it came from within, and I think
It
that's a
did.
great thing. Yeah. And so you started this coaching program, this coaching company,
Hmm.
and it gave you a lot of purpose.
Yeah.
So you do work through networking, and
Hmm.
you have your own podcast.
Hmm.
And tell us a little bit about that when you have a chance.
Yeah.
And it's really about fulfillment for a lot of what, uh, excuse me, a lot of what you're doing.
Right.
So from your perspective, tell us a little bit about you, Dee.
Okay. Well, for me, I was really, really, really burnt out. Like when I say really burnt out, like I was getting hives. So it like really went
Oh.
physical. And I wasn't happy with, I was happy with everything but my work situation. And I kept trying to make it better because I was fitting in a box that was not made for me. So I am
Hmm.
someone who, I have to be free, and I have to be able to be creative and tap into that innovation. And I just was not getting it at that point. So
So
it
when was
came
this, Dee?
last year.
Last year. So you're in the middle of the pandemic, pretty much,
Yeah.
about 60% through. I think a lot of people are realizing that too,
Mhm.
that having a job without a purpose
Yeah.
and not fulfilling the purpose, I think it's just part of the situation and part of people waking up.
Right.
So they're
I
actually
agree.
seeing the opportunity, and they're realizing now that this pandemic's happened and working from home, it
Mhm.
actually gives you a window of opportunity to really think
Mhm.
about what's going on in the world and in my life. And that sounds like what happened to you, right?
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, so before I actually started a new job within the same company in March of 2020, and 3 days later, I was so excited. I was like, "Yay, I'm not going to be burnt out anymore." And 3 days later, the pandemic hit. So and then 2 years later, I was like, "I'm done." So it's not easy. I was in healthcare, and it wasn't exactly the easiest to transition, especially because I didn't know anyone at that point.
So you were transitioning to work from home, or just the work style?
Oh, all of it. So
Oh.
when I left to go to HR, it was going to be on site, which was a little different than I had before.
Mhm.
And then we were sent home after 3 days. So here I
Mhm.
am at home. I don't know my job, and I don't know my coworkers. So to
Oh
say
yeah.
I was isolated is, yeah.
Well, yeah, I would imagine a lot of people kind of felt that way.
Mhm.
And right now, I think we have an agenda, loose agenda. And it sounds like you got burned out quite quickly because of the silo.
Mm,
And you were separated from people.
right.
And even though you were separated, you had an extra barrier
Mhm.
where you just didn't know the people to begin with.
Right.
So
Right.
usually you have that 30-day to 90-day window of
Mhm.
time where you're integrating your life. So
Right.
how did you self ignite? That doesn't sound right, does it? Self ignite.
We'll go with it.
How did you
Um,
ignite yourself?
yeah. So honestly, I back in January of 2022, I was at that point where I'm like, nothing's going to work. And I was, very depressed. And I found coaching because I was looking for, an outlet, something to help me. And I knew I always wanted to help people. The program was, it's self coaching. You learn how to coach by self coaching. So after going through that program, I really, pretty much broke myself down to the studs and said, what do I believe in? What do I
Mhm,
believe in?
mhm,
Why,
mhm,
why am I in a position that that I'm not in love with, that I'm not feeling fulfilled? So it took a
mhm.
lot of self work, which with this, you really can't light your fire unless you do that self work.
Yeah, yeah. So you have the ability to help others because you have gone through
Hmm.
a lot of that process yourself. And
Yes.
so that helps you relate to other people. Yeah.
Hmm.
That's one of the things I've had a lot of problems because I was a top UI UX designer, programmer.
Right.
We did Coca-Cola Enterprises site. One I used to have an IT company before.
Oh, okay.
And we did Harry Potter, we did virtual world, Xbox mobile apps, you name it, and a lot of gamification. And that didn't require anyone liking me. They just wanted to
Right.
like my work. And
Right.
so we would get things done. And getting things done is much different than interacting with people.
Yeah.
So I can be very efficient in these
Mhm.
things, and I can work like a person of I can work like five people
Right.
almost. And I'm
Right.
extremely efficient and accurate on what I'm doing. But taking time to get to know yourself first,
Mhm.
and then that can help you see those traits in other people and communicate with other people. And
Right.
that's where I actually lacked. And I think we were mentioning before that
Mhm.
I'm a single father. I
Mhm.
didn't mention that I had type A traits and I was a terrible dater in before when in my bachelor days. And in that same dating process, I would imagine slow dating, like
Mhm.
old fashioned dating
Yeah.
process of getting to know someone
Yeah.
is instrumental in communicating and getting people um, to start moving and start doing things.
Right.
Like I never could figure out. Okay, there's this red button here, and all you gotta do is push this red button at 8:30 in the morning, and you'll get clients.
Right.
And I hear excuses, and I'm just using that as an
Yeah.
analogy because everything else say is too complicated. And
Yeah.
so they say, "Oh, I can't push the button. Why not? It doesn't feel right,
Mhm.
or my arm hurts, or something."
Right.
And I never understood the psychology behind it because I just
Mhm.
did stuff, and
Yep.
I found out that I was wired differently. I just
Mhm.
do stuff
Yeah.
regardless if I'm sad or happy, but I'm in the minority. I
Mhm.
am not the normal person. So
Mm-mm.
the vast majority of the people, they need to feel good
Mhm.
about what they're doing. They have to have that purpose. And I'm sure I do too, but
Yeah.
not to that extent.
Well,
And so how do
purpose
you
is
connect
purpose.
with those people to get them moving?
Yeah. Well, honestly, I always start by telling, my own story because I wasn't only burnt out for 2 years for the pandemic. I was actually burnt out beforehand. So I was actually I was burnt out for 13 years. So I loved telling that story because it shows that it's never too late for you to, pick up and start over. So that's the first thing. I try to inspire people through my own story and just get to know them. Like you said, date them. I want to know, what do you love? What do you not love? What are your strengths? What aren't your strengths? Do you procrastinate? Just different
I think we all
questions.
procrastinate. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
There's just
Yeah.
things that we like to do and things that we have to do and
Yep.
things that are easier to do. There's those different categories. And so
Right.
do I want to do the stuff I like or that's easy? And the stuff I have to do, I kind of,
Right.
it requires a different thought
It
process.
does.
Maybe I don't have the energy for that or something.
Well, procrastination too, that's an indication that you're burnt out as well. So if you are
Mm.
doing something because you can get burnt out on what you love as well.
Hmm.
So if I'm doing what I love and maybe I have videos that I have to do, but I keep procrastinating, well, that's an issue because I shouldn't be procrastinating, right? So is that like a flaw of mine? Or am I doing it because there's a deeper issue?
Well, I mean, if you have a deeper issue, it is a flaw, isn't it?
Do what?
If you have a deeper issue, it is a flaw that kind of
Yeah,
needs to be addressed, right?
yeah,
Because
exactly. And
it's
maybe
always
that's
looking
you.
inwards,
Mhm.
and having that level of accountability.
100%.
Speaking of, I used that word accountability before.
Yep.
Most people, I don't want to say most. I don't know if most. Maybe you can correct me on that, but I would say a lot of people just lack accountability,
Hmm.
and they live in a land where everything they do is right, and
Right.
anyone that says something contrary to what they believe, they're
Hmm.
wrong. And
Right.
and personally, I don't believe that. Like, for example, in politics, I think I'm like most people, somewhere in the middle.
You're
I'm
right.
not extremely
Gray
right or
areas.
left or whatever, but and I don't like people on different. I don't like individuals for what they're doing,
Right.
but I think the idea to be open to listen and at
Mhm.
least understand
Yeah.
what the other person is saying will contribute to the ability for you to think for yourself.
Right.
And in
Mhm.
my mind, I feel that a lot of people are not even used to thinking for themselves in that manner. Not saying that they're slow or anything like that.
No.
I'm just saying they're caught in this job or this career or this type of lifestyle,
Right.
and it's a certain pattern, and
Hmm.
they don't get outside of that pattern, and
Right.
so they're an autopilot for the most part,
Yep.
I would think.
Yep. Another sign of burnout, autopilot. So with that, you're absolutely right. People will go on autopilot. And when you go on autopilot, you know you have to look at your limited beliefs. So what
Mhm.
made you get to that? So a lot of times it's childhood.
Hold on, Dee. So let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Limited belief. Can you explain what that is to the audience?
Yeah, absolutely. So your childhood beliefs, for example. So my parents were Italian immigrants. So my lens, I was being seen through the Italian immigrants. It was not being seen through my own lens. So I adopted all of their thoughts and their fears and everything else, which is normally what happens. And
Mhm.
then
Yeah, that
as
would
you
be
grow,
natural, yeah, for the most
yes,
part.
yeah. So as you grow older, you start challenging those belief systems, but not everybody does right away. It took me 30 years before I was like, yeah, you know what? Maybe this isn't the way the world works. So really just looking at what do I believe? Because what some people will find, I don't know what I believe. And that's
Yeah,
okay
I'm
too.
sure that's very common and understandable. I've heard that what they say that children,
Mhm,
if a parent does something, they just think, "Oh, that's what we do."
mhm.
They don't really know right or wrong till around 7 or 8 years old, and
Right.
then they kind of understand that. Oh, maybe you shouldn't curse and drive crazy. If your
Yeah.
parents are cursing at people and they just maybe
Yeah.
they're bad drivers, for example, right? And you just think that's normal
Yeah.
until your brain can start processing it, and
Mhm.
then you would have all the outside forces.
Right.
So if you have in your case, if you have a big Italian family
Mhm.
and they think the Italian way, and I don't know what that means. I'm just being, that's probably the wrong wording, so not to be offensive. But if they're all culturally thinking in a
Mhm.
certain lens.
Yep.
That's a better word, right?
Yep. I like it.
That's going to massively influence you, you know.
Mhm. Yeah.
And if you're
100%.
dating an Italian guy from another Italian family that kind of
Mhm.
thinks along this, so that reinforces and kind of puts a barrier from you applying your own thoughts on
Mhm.
stuff, and going
Yeah.
outside because I want to say it's peer pressure, and so
It
you
is
have
in a way. Mhm.
yeah, yeah, not to be. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that at all, but you do want to be aware of other ways to be functional and successful and
Right.
happy.
Right. Well, you want to find your own way. You don't want to, yes, you can adopt your parents and then you get into that generational trauma where the trauma is just passed down generation to generation. But
Mm,
that's breakable. You can break that. You don't need to do that. And I think that society sort of told us that we need to do that. When you look at the different generations. And you don't need to do that. You have the right as a human to figure out your own stuff and figure out what you believe in and how you want to show up in the world.
definitely. And so, can you tell me the particular avatar of your prospect or client? So, is there a certain age where you specialize in that you do well in?
Yeah.
And what differentiates you as a coach compared to other coaches? Because it sounds really interesting that what you're doing, and it makes total sense to me.
Mhm.
Maybe 5 years ago it wouldn't, but now,
Mhm.
through my own trauma, I
Yeah.
totally, I totally get.
Trauma teaches us.
Yeah, trauma's a good lesson.
It
It's
is.
you have to go through pain in order to
Mhm.
grow. And I think the people that don't grow, I wouldn't say they don't get enough pain, but that's one way to look at it.
Yeah.
They don't change unless it hurts more to stay the same.
Right. Well, yeah, and that's why we don't change, right? Because
Mhm.
we don't want to be uncomfortable. Like in a new relationship, for example, you do what the other person wants you to do, right? Because you don't want them to be uncomfortable, but you're making yourself uncomfortable at that point. So it's
And maybe
really
that person you're hanging out with is not your people then, you know?
I love it. Yes, 100%. That's
Yeah.
100% true. And
Yeah.
that's where we get caught up like in the workplace. So the workplace that I was in, they just weren't my people and I was not theirs. But
And there's nothing
now,
wrong with
no,
those people or these people. There's
mm-mm,
nothing wrong with that at all.
no.
But you want to go in a direction with less friction and more support.
Yes, 100%. I like that. It's yeah,
Mhm.
100% because you're going to grow a lot more if you have people that get it. You have people that understand, what you're all about and what you're doing. Like you're on a coaching journey or you're on a health journey, and they're supporting you. And a lot of times, what I've noticed is the people that you would think that would support you do not necessarily support you. And a lot of that, like I equate it to family. Like sometimes family's not going to support you. Well, it's not
Well,
because they
sometimes
don't.
they just don't understand.
Yes.
Because, like
Hmm.
you said, they're not just a different generation, but sometimes
Hmm.
there's cultural or political or whatever the
Yeah.
case is. They have a certain viewpoint,
Hmm.
and it's as adults, it's not the easiest thing to change someone's mind.
It is not.
I mean, they have to because you got to think if you're set in your way so many years,
Hmm.
and it's comfortable for you,
Yeah.
why are they going to change?
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
that's like the religious argument, which is very upsetting for people.
Hmm.
Like if you are one religion or you believe in one thing, and it's not what this other person believes,
Hmm.
and they have generational, they're all my
Yeah.
parents did this, my grandparents did this,
Yeah.
and this. Who are you to tell them that they're wrong? Even if
Right.
they were
Yeah.
wrong, maybe there was something
Hmm.
really bad and you brought up, they're gonna not like that. They're gonna
They're
be
not.
very resistant
Hmm.
and very upset that you're challenging their beliefs because
Yeah.
it's not just a belief that I thought of for a few years.
Right. It's
It's,
ingrained.
you're telling me that my
Mhm.
parents are wrong and they're wrong, and I think it's okay to be wrong sometimes,
I do
but
too.
again, I don't think I'm the typical person either.
Right. Well, I think I grew up as in somehow I adopted the I can't make mistakes, I have to be perfect sort of attitude. And once I realized that that was kind of BS, and it's an illusion. Perfection's just an illusion. It's not real. Being imperfect is perfect. So yeah.
It's relatable, definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I have a very, I think, I have a very quirky personality, but
I like it.
I mean, that's me. So
I do too.
I'm not pretending to like be someone else. And I think
No.
people like that honesty
Yeah.
because they'll say, okay, I can definitely I can definitely engage with this person, or even in business.
Right.
So the litmus test for, oh, hey, Beverlyn, I think she's commenting on there. She says, nice
Oh,
to be here.
hi,
Um,
Beverly.
yeah.
Glad
So
you're here.
yeah, she actually won. Beverlyn won one of my 3 seats. I have a mastermind for like
Oh yeah,
5K a seat, and
I
she
love it.
won one of them. We have it starting in mid July, so she's been
Congratulations.
an avid fan. That's how I make avid fans to give away a lot of stuff. But anyway, I forgot what I was talking about, and I don't want to take over the whole thing.
No, you're
But
fine.
I do want to talk about how does someone ignite their flame? So if someone's having issues, and before we're talking about what's your ideal prospect, so let's get that one out of the way first.
Mhm.
How many? I mean, what type of people do you work with, Dee, and
Right.
that you enjoy working with, or that's your niche?
Right. So, well, my niche is creating psychological safety within the workplace, and
Mhm.
trying to, pretty much I try to fix toxic environments, right?
Mhm.
Because toxic environments can cause trauma. And there is such a thing as workplace trauma. It's
So
not.
that's really group coaching.
Yeah, well, no, that's not group coaching. So it's working one-on-one with like the CEO, because
Oh,
because you got to start
you're
at
working a
top.
top down method.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, because well, what's the saying? The fish rots from the top. So you
Oh, I know
have to.
that's new.
I just learned that too.
You
Um,
did? There must be an old Italian
uh,
saying, right? Because I've never heard it
I
before.
just
You
I
know?
just learned it. I forgot who told me. Shout out to whoever did. But seriously, you have to start at the top. So I can do the group coaching and all of that, but it doesn't matter how much work you do with the individual if the environment's not going to change. So if the
And the only person that
CEO,
changes the environment is
yeah,
the C-level individuals.
hmm,
Yeah, kind of the top tier people are the
yeah,
ones that disseminate the
culture,
changes from
hmm,
top to bottom.
right.
Yeah.
And I also work, I also just anyone who's having confidence issues or, needs to be empowered. So my people are the people that are lost right now.
Mm.
They want to move forward, but they don't know how. One way that I've described it is here's the finish line, you're here, and you just can't seem to get across it.
I
And
feel that way all the time.
maybe you
I
need
feel
a
like
coach.
I'm doing like all the stuff, and I'm just
Yeah.
right there, like
Mhm.
bumping up against what. I'm like, what is
Mhm.
going on? And so
Yeah.
I'm a LinkedIn coach,
Mhm.
and I don't have any problems helping people getting bookings for meetings.
Right.
And I talk to a couple of great people, and I try to talk to people that are much stronger in areas that I'm not.
Right.
And so a lot of those people that I talk to are really good in psychological strategy. And that sounds
Mhm.
like what you
Yeah.
part of the things that you're doing.
Yeah.
And I had to look in within. I said, well, when I was doing really well here and I had a dip here, but I'm
Mhm.
working harder, what am I doing wrong?
Right.
And part of it's the world. The world
Yeah.
changes quite quickly.
But you
And the
can't change the world.
yeah, you can't change,
Yeah.
but a part of it was I was helping the wrong people. I was
That's
helping a
huge.
lot of people that don't have a budget. And if they don't
Mhm.
have a budget, they usually won't even do the work. I
Right.
mean, and I don't know why, I don't know what the parallels with that is, but
Right.
they're just not used to structured stuff.
Mhm. Right.
They can't implement things that are simple for me because it's maybe new concepts for them
Right.
versus if they're a business and they have some processes already, they're used
Right.
to saying, "Oh, I can close. I got this. I got the closing process done. I
Hmm.
got the process for the client. I just need the bookings."
Right.
And so I can charge more, and I can I can charge what I'm worth. Let's say that, and I can also provide the service that they need, and
Right.
it's not a bunch of extra stuff.
Right.
So that's one thing that I'm finding. So you work with the C level of individuals
Hmm.
that have to um, adjust the culture, so to speak,
Hmm. Yeah.
within that company. And you
Hmm.
also work with individuals that
Hmm.
just want to improve their life, right?
Right. So I do the change management coaching and the personal safety coaching for that.
Got it. So, so now that we know that what you do, more,
Mhm.
and I should have did that at the beginning of the show.
You're so fine.
Um,
You're fine.
so how does someone really ignite their flame? And I know they
Right.
have a couple of bullet points here,
Right.
but let me hear it from how you approach that.
Yeah. So, really just embrace what you love, embrace your joy, and embrace your passion and find a passion. Find something that makes you enthusiastic. Of course, there's goal settings as well. But the biggest one for me is surround yourself with positive people. Surround yourself with people that want you to succeed. Like I said, it might not always be the people that you think,
Yeah.
but you need those people. And then, of course, you want to practice self care. Self care is huge. I know for a very long time, I was like, oh no, I can't do that because I can't treat myself like that. And then
Hmm.
my back's hurting, and I'm like, well, why is it hurting? Well, because I'm not taking care of myself, right? So
Hmm.
you have to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. Find people that inspire you.
Hmm.
If you're on LinkedIn and you see Troy and Troy, inspires you, reach out to him. I mean, the worst thing that you could say, Troy, is no, right? So, and that's okay. Um, and learn from those setbacks as well. So if I was to reach out to you and you said no, well, my follow up would be, well, can you give me some advice of how I can get a yes? Learn from it. And then, of course,
That's actually good
celebrate.
advice. When someone says no, I say okay. Like, I sent them a
Yeah,
message. I sent someone like a welcome video one time. Like I do welcome videos, and I get about a 20% conversion straight to a meeting, right?
yeah.
And I sent someone a welcome video and say, "Hey, thanks for connecting. Da, da, da,
Mhm,
da. I know you're doing ABC. Yeah, feel a reach out. Reach out anytime if it ever makes sense."
mhm.
And but the reply was like, "No, we don't have money for that." I'm like, "What?" I'm like,
Yeah,
"There's nothing to do." And so people are very sensitive sometimes.
yeah, they are.
And but if people are very abrasive, what I do is I just put them on what I call a block list, and I
Mhm.
just don't ever message them again. But I do
Yeah,
reply,
yeah,
and I try to reply helpfully. But I just don't like for business purposes. I don't want to like if I have a system that reaches out to saying, "Hey, oh, thank you for going to the show,"
right,
or whatever the message is. I make sure they don't get that, and so there's no automation or any kind of
right.
thank you message that goes through. But yeah, so I try to find out. I explain and say, "Oh no, I wasn't selling you anything, and it doesn't matter if you
Yeah,
have a budget." I said,
right.
"But speaking of budgets, I said I do have a mastermind going on, and I'm giving away 3 free seats. They're
Mm,
worth 5K. Let me know if you're interested." And then
yeah.
they'll reply maybe 20-25% of the time, but I feel that if I can help like one person, I've
Mhm.
done my job for the day.
Yeah,
And
I
if they
feel
don't reply, it's okay. They're lost.
not every you can't help everybody. And that's one thing that I had to learn too, is I am a specific person that is not everyone's cup of tea,
Hmm.
and that is okay. So it's really accepting, and that's how you empower yourself. Accept that, you know what? It's okay. Not everyone has to like me because that I do have my people. My people are out there. And then once you find your people, you take that energy that you were trying to maybe fit in, and you take that energy and redirect it in a positive manner.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I don't really have, I have a lot of great people on LinkedIn, but
Mhm.
personal friends
Yeah.
I've actually built on LinkedIn too. And I don't have a huge amount.
Right.
But when I make friends with someone, I'm
Mhm.
always their friend.
Right.
And so it's great to have people that will, that will tell you your faults. The
Hmm.
real friends will tell you what's
Hmm.
wrong with you. The haters, when the haters come, the haters don't really tell you what's wrong with you. They tell you what they don't like about you, which
Hmm.
is different. You know,
Exactly.
this
Yes.
is a totally
Totally
different
different.
thing. And you need haters because
Hmm.
the haters are the ones that are really kind of low key jealous of
Hmm.
your success.
Absolutely.
So when you have haters, you're doing well. I remember when I had my IT company, ISO Interactive, and I had someone pretend they were me. And I'm half Asian. I'm Filipino,
Yeah.
and my mother is from Switzerland, so I'm Swissipino. And
I
so
love
I
it.
used to have this like spiky hair,
Yeah.
like back in the day. And there was this younger kid. It was a white kid, but he kind of looked like me. Well, I am half white, and and he had the haircut, and he
Hmm.
said he was Troy Hippolito. I'm like, what is this? And so you got these weird things that happen. It's like I'm not
Hmm.
popular at all, but he was so enticed about my lifestyle and
Right.
doing cool stuff and all
Yeah.
that. So it's great to have those people in there, even though it's kind
Mhm.
of weird. But it's also good to have haters, and then
Yeah.
also people that genuinely support you.
Hmm.
And I see that. And I appreciate that a lot. I
Yeah.
think that I've gotten more genuine relationships through LinkedIn than real life, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and that's common, I think.
Mm,
I'm on Alignable, and that's my main thing. And with
mhm,
Alignable, that's all that it's about is networking. And I have
mhm,
made such like meaningful relationships, and it's not transactional. So
mhm.
it's the meaningful relationship, and I know that I can send people that maybe I can't help to these people. So I'm building my referral network as well. So for me, it's always about the meaningful relationships.
Yeah. So when you have these, excuse me, we have these referral networks.
Mhm.
Um, I tend to align myself with people that do what I do, but a different
Mhm.
flavor, or
Right.
they do something ancillary. So
Right.
when someone comes to me, they may think I may be able to solve their problem. I may not be the perfect fit,
Right.
but because they could have an issue like, oh, they need a writer,
Right.
specific type of writer for style. I said, oh yeah, this person's good for that. Or
Right.
they're having problems with their email list.
Hmm.
And I know email in and out, but I'm not the expert in that
Right.
area. So I'll give them advice on, oh, these are the common. This sounds like this is the issue.
Hmm.
But if you want to fix the issue, you talk to my email guy. I guess is Ed,
Right.
his name's Ed Forteau. Really great guy. And so I try to align myself in, and there's other LinkedIn people too,
Hmm.
where okay, he's good for that thing,
Hmm. Yeah.
and you should talk to that individual for
Mhm.
that. And that's how I align my thing up. And that way you have business going back and forth.
Hmm. Yeah, it's important as an entrepreneur to have a network, um, to have that community. I just look at it like, it takes a village. It takes a village to raise a kid. Well, it also takes a village to make a new business. And, you
Mhm.
want those people to give you their feedback. You want, because obviously we're entrepreneurs because we want to succeed, because we think we can succeed. So we want to succeed, but
Yeah.
we're not going to succeed if we don't have the right people around us.
Yeah, I do agree. Yeah. So once you are trying to get people to ignite their own flame,
Hmm.
you said the first thing was to surround yourself with good people.
Hmm.
And when you mean good people, you're talking about people that genuinely want you to succeed.
Yes.
Um,
Hmm.
I think most people don't. Not,
That's
I mean, not they're good
yeah,
people, but in
yeah.
general, they don't care. They're indifferent
Well,
in
that's
that way.
society, unfortunately. Those are that's the society norms, where we just pin each other against each other, and that's not very productive. But I would also challenge you to look on LinkedIn, look on Alignable, look on Polywork,
Yeah, I
wherever it
just
is that
joined Alignable
oh, you did?
not too long ago,
Okay.
but I don't do much on it yet.
Okay. So find people that necessarily aren't in your niche.
Yeah.
Find people that are doing, like, for example, I have a connection. I think he's in like Alabama, and he owns a air conditioning company.
Hmm.
That, like, on the outside, you wouldn't think that we would be connected, right? Because it's so different, but we do.
But your air conditioner broke and
Yeah.
you needed a friend.
Yeah.
He's in my network. He's gonna
Yeah.
show up. No, well, you're not in Alabama. Where are you located at?
Virginia.
Oh, you're
Roanoke.
in Virginia. What part of Virginia?
Roanoke, so it's on the
Oh,
southwest.
interesting.
Mhm.
I'm from Virginia, but Virginia Beach, totally different. Uh,
Yes, totally different.
yeah,
Yeah,
Roanoke's
you have
much
ocean.
nicer. To be honest with you, like,
Yeah, it's funny because there's so many people here in Roanoke. We talk about going, to the beach, and I'm not originally from Virginia, so I'm like, let's go to Virginia Beach, and they're like, no. It's like the Virginians just snob it, and they're like, no, we're gonna go to Myrtle instead. I'm like, a beach is a
and you
beach.
pass. That means you have to pass
Yeah.
past Virginia Beach to go to
To go
Myrtle
further.
Beach to South Carolina.
Yep.
Well, we talked about how to surround ourselves with good people and
Hmm.
how to support each other.
Hmm.
How do you inspire others? Because I think a lot of that stuff is reciprocal,
It
if
is.
you will.
Hmm. So really, by pursuing your passion, not knowing what you're doing is you are making it acceptable for people to do that. So because a lot of people will poo on, oh, you're following your passion, okay, but you almost have to follow your passion if you want to inspire yourself and inspire others. And of course, the lead by example. It's not the old, say what I do, not what is it? Say, what is it?
Do as I
Say what
say,
I,
not as I
yeah,
do.
there it is. Don't
That's
ask
what
me
the
why I
parents
couldn't
say
say that.
anyway. I don't know if that's a good
Yeah.
idea.
Well, I mean, that's out of date, right? Like, let's
Yeah,
lead by example. And of
yeah,
course, share your story. And that's why it's important for me to come on shows like this and share my story, because I'm hoping that it inspires other people. And you want to encourage people. I feel like we're in a society where, people get really uncomfortable when you compliment them. And for
yeah.
me, like,
It's a weird
yeah.
time, I think. I think
Mhm.
there's this woke culture
Mhm.
mixing in with traditional, and I'm more of the traditional, like I'm not here to offend anyone. I'll
Right,
just say what I'm thinking.
right.
And
You're
if I'm
authentic.
using the wrong words, then you should know better. You should know that, that I think people are pretending not to be smart. And that's one thing
Yeah.
I don't like about today's society. They're
Mhm.
pretending that everyone's trying to be. There's genuine people out there that just want to communicate, and just because
Mhm.
I don't know the exact vocabulary you want
Yeah,
me to use, you
right,
want to dictate my words and stuff. I think
right,
that's probably not the
right.
best thing there.
Well, we have to
Um,
show each other grace. We really have to show each
yeah.
other grace. And, if you, like you said something about Italians earlier, like, and it didn't offend me, but like, even if it did, well,
Oh,
you,
thank
you
goodness.
stated, no, 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 no. You stated, that I don't know about it. So it's like,
Yeah.
even if it did offend me, well, I can show you grace because you didn't do it on purpose. It's when
Yeah,
people
I was just trying to
intend to
display an
hurt it.
idea
Hmm.
and a concept, and
Yeah.
you knew that, okay, he's not being malice.
Right.
He's just trying
Absolutely.
to express an idea. And then
Hmm.
maybe if I knew something about the cult, well, if you know something about the culture, I said, yeah, but here in this culture, this is generally how I said, oh, okay, then
Yeah.
I learned something new.
Yeah.
You know, always happy for that. I always love learning new things and stuff like that.
Me too.
So you're working with individuals and then C-level companies. What
Mhm.
size do you usually, like how many employees and stuff like that? Do you work with large
So
companies or
1 to 50. So they're
150?
small. Yeah, smaller
Less red
companies.
tape.
Yeah, I'm only one person. Eventually I do want a team, and I want to, expand, but as of right now, I'm only one person. I don't have an assistant or anything like that. So there's, I need to duplicate myself.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, one suggestion is just get an assistant for
Yeah.
your, for your content,
Hmm.
help prep that stuff and
Right.
help take care. And people always forget that. Another thing too is training your assistants is very important too. So
Mm-hmm.
I try to create SOPs, service operations, so the
Right.
procedures in my head are on
Right.
paper. So if I had to make a recommendation, that's one thing I would do. Maybe some
Right.
services and stuff that will
Right.
help get you out in certain directions depending on your audience too. Um, well, I'll leave it open to the audience if they have any questions,
Hmm.
but I'll go move to this slide right here, and I want to say feel free to reach out to Dee,
Hmm.
and we'll go ahead and put these links in the chat right after this show. Matter of fact, Lisa, if you can, go ahead and put her Outlook, her Calendly, and her LinkedIn, and feel free to connect with her
Hmm.
and just say you saw her on the Troy Show,
Yeah.
and then that would be awesome.
Yeah.
And if
Hmm.
you have any needs to expanding your business through like multiple channels, whether it be LinkedIn and content, and get those bookings you need for your business. Feel free to grab some time with me, and I have my One's Hub there. So Lisa, when you get a chance, go ahead and add my information there too. I basically have two services, and I simplified, and that's
Right.
one thing, Dee, I found that I had to do. I
Yep.
can't be everything to everyone.
Right.
I said, look, I'm going to teach you how to do it, and you can do it and
Right.
build your own team or
Yep.
whatever, or I'm going to do it for you.
Right.
And anything in between is like noise for me, because
Right.
you got everyone that I want you kind of do it, but me do it. And I said those things don't work well, and I want conversions for my clients.
Right.
So we've changed the model just for those group coaching
Yeah.
and a fully done for you service.
Right.
So what are the services that you provide? Do you have these packages that you provide, Dee?
I do. I have my professional development package, which is it's professional development lead with fire. So I was going to do leadership at one point, but then I realized that anybody can be a leader and we all need to know the same fundamental stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a professional development one. I also do consultation services,
Mm-hmm.
which is called Spread Fire. I got to do all the fire stuff. And, and then I also do psychological safety workshops, which is burnt to lit.
Firebrain. No.
Burnt to lit.
Almost. I don't know.
Almost.
Firebrain sounds awful. I'm bad at words.
You're
Don't
fine.
listen to anything I'm saying.
I like to be fancy with it.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you have three packages basically.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep. And then I
For,
have individual coaching as well, which I do change management and personal safety coaching as well, which personal safety coaching has been huge since we're transitioning back into society.
oh, I see. I
Mhm.
see. Well, are there any last words of wisdom that you would like to give, Dee, before we
Mhm.
drop off?
Yeah. So if you can't control it, let it go. So, and the reason why I say that is
I'm sorry, say
because
that again. If you can't what?
if you can't control it, then let
Oh,
it
can't
go.
control it.
Mhm.
Okay.
Let it go because it's not serving you. So, like
Mm-hmm.
maybe you're upset about, you got cut off in traffic. Well,
Mm-hmm.
are you going to carry that with you the whole entire day? There's nothing that you can do to change it. So instead of carrying it through the day, which many people will, just let it go. Tell yourself a story, whatever you need, just let it go.
Yeah, I always say I can bitch and complain for like 2 minutes, and
Right.
then I need to shut the f up and move on. But that's
Mhm.
me. So
Yeah.
I'll get it out,
Yeah. You
and
have to
then
get
I'll
it
say,
out.
okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if I recommend that to everyone, but that's just one coping mechanism that I have, So
Well, I like to tell myself funny stories. Like, somebody, I had told you I was going back and forth on 81 for Virginia to New York. There's
Mhm.
a lot of different types of drivers, and I had gotten caught off. And I said, like, I got really mad, and I was like, you know what? Maybe he has to shit his pants. That's why he did that. That's why he's trying to get over there. Who am I to be
Yeah.
mad at someone that's about to shit their pants? So
Oh,
that's
sorry,
kind
that's
of
my
where I'm
daughter
at.
there. My
Oh,
daughter
hi,
busted in
sorry.
all my meetings. I guess you can say hi. You want to say hi real quick?
Hi, cutie. Look at
So this is her.
you.
I made her myself.
You are so
Let me
cute.
let me fix your poofy hair. There you go. That's probably not
Hi,
right
cutie.
either. Say
You
hi.
hanging out with Daddy?
No, he's going back upstairs. See you later.
Hi.
Bye, sweetheart.
Hi. Hi.
Okay, say bye. See you later. Go upstairs, baby. Bye.
I love
She's
it.
pretty happy, lucky go.
Yeah.
I always think when I'm driving, I always get these people in those Dodge Hellcats, and they want to race me,
Oh God.
and
Yeah.
and I can't beat them. There's no way I'm gonna race. The number one, I don't drive fast.
Right.
And I have a little sports car, but
Mhm.
I have like Infinity, and they're
Right.
nice, but they're not. They're like luxury
Right.
sports. It's kind of in between. It's not a race. And
Mm-mm.
I get all those people, and so I just roll the window up.
Yeah.
They speed on by, and it's just like, so I don't really get mad though. I just
Yeah.
think that's silly,
Yeah.
So sometimes I don't think of a silly story. I just think, oh, he's kind of silly.
Yeah. I mean,
I
that's
just let him go. That doesn't really bother me, So
yeah. Well, I actually had somebody hang out the window on 81. I kid you not. And I don't know what
what do you mean
we
hang
did.
out the window?
He was driving a truck, and he like hung out the window and was like going like this as he was driving, and he was swearing at us. I have no idea why.
Oh,
We were just like, I just kind of
wow.
looked at him like, wow, like, bye. Like, but some people really do have road rage.
Oh yeah, I remember someone was yelling at me one time. It was many years ago, and they were screaming, and so I rolled down the window, and I just said, "Oh, sorry,"
Mhm.
and I waved to them,
Yeah, kill him with kindness.
and they just got confused.
Yeah.
They just got confused because I don't know what I did. Maybe I did something I don't really, maybe because sometimes you don't see everything or
No.
whatever. But that person
Absolutely.
was angry at me, and they were
Mhm.
cussing, and I was just like, "Sorry."
I mean, don't ever
It's probably
engage.
my fault.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, and even if it is, I mean, like, that's on them to let that go. That's not your shit. That's theirs.
Yeah. But if you're really nice to someone, then people just like, oh, like it'll confuse their anger, and they'll just kind of, all
Yeah.
right, and just move on to their life. So, well, it was awesome speaking with you. Thank you for being a guest on my show,
Thank you.
and I hope you have a terrific day. And I loved all your advice. I think we're in line with a
Mhm.
lot of those things. And every
Right.
time I talk to someone that has either similar ideas or even different ideas, I
Mhm.
learn something.
Right.
So today I learned that there are more good people out there actually making things happen
Yeah.
to ignite these individuals to get
Mhm.
out of their stupor
Mhm.
and start making action towards some of the good.
Right.
Removing the toxic people from their life,
Mhm.
surrounding themselves with good people that actually want to see you succeed. And sometimes you have to do that online. You do
Yeah.
it through
Mhm.
Alignable, and I do it through LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And so there are good people out there.
Mhm.
You just have to be genuine in what you do. And of
Yes.
course, LinkedIn is
Authentic.
a place for a business, but you can't sell on LinkedIn.
Right.
So you have to slow date. You have to
Yeah.
get to know people. And
Mhm.
if they need something that you have, it's good to present it at that point.
Right.
So relationship always has to equal your ask.
Right.
And that's what a lot of people forget. So it's
Yeah.
not about selling. It's really about networking and
Mhm.
supporting.
Mhm.
Business is a
Mhm.
byproduct of helping others.
Yep. Absolutely. You got it.
Awesome. Great having you. Have an awesome
Mhm.
day.
You too. Thanks, Troy.
All right.